On Friday, we got news, shocking news, but if you were paying attention to the stuff in the background, maybe not all that shocking, that Candace Owens had been fired, released. Not entirely sure about the specifics, nor are we ever going to get the specifics. Let's keep it a buck that Candace Owens was no longer working with the Daily Wire. Per Jeremy Boring, they had severed their relationship. They are no longer working together, and then, not long after that, it got confirmed by Candace that the rumors are true. I'm finally free. If you would like to support my work, you can head to CandaceOwens.com. Yeah, redirect it to the locals page. She's setting up all of her different channels because, as we figured out during the Steven Crowder contract negotiations, Daily Wire owns all of your online persona. So the moment that you leave is the moment that you get to start anew on the platform. So I'll be interested to see. And today we'll obviously have a little bit more information, but I'm recording this on Sunday because, well, I wanted to see the response from Daily Wire on their side, how they would be handling this situation of terminating a colleague over accusations of anti-Semitism. Well, they're being Daily Wire about it. Let's keep it a buck. They're sending out their Semitic Catholic and Andrew Klavan, born a Jew, converted to Catholicism, but is still always a Jew, by his own admission. And, well, the tradcuck sphere online has been tearing itself apart right now over the simple phrase, over 3 easy words: Christ is King. I can't believe we're here. But then again, I can totally believe we're here. So this little clip has been making a lot of noise over the past 24 hours, with everybody just kind of scratching their head going, okay, cool. I can see where a lot of people are getting, caught up in semantics. They're trying to analogize this, the whole, oh, Christ is King is an anti-Semitic, a dog whistle. And if you think that words just don't have power, oh, you think that this is somehow analogous to Black Lives Matter. You're one of those turbo lefties that think that, oh, if you just say Black Lives Matter, that doesn't have undercurrents. It's like, okay, cool. Outside of I don't know, maybe the Crusades. When was the last time that any riots, any violence, any overt actions were taken in the name of Christ is King? I can't really point to any, but then again, I'm not trying to run defense for my company that is looking to be an absolute shambles moving forward. But do elucidate on this topic, Andrew. I'm kind of partial outside of his weird Muppet voice. Normally thought that, Andrew Klavan's kind of decent. But he's the guy, he definitely end up being the guy that the Daily Wire would march out in order to run cover for the platform, because I think Ben would be a little bit too overt. I'm sure Michael Knowles is probably still chaffed that his good friend ended up getting axed off the platform, and Matt Walsh, he's still too busy trying to figure out that this whole video games thing is a phenomenon. But without further ado, Andrew, spit some bars here.
Grown. When I did this, by the way, the priest who baptized me said, Christians won't accept you. You'll still be a Jew. And I said, well, I am. That's my race. I'm a Jew. I'm proud of my race. It's a great race. It's done many, many great things, including write the Bible. And, I am a Jew. But that hasn't happened at all. Christians have welcomed me with open arms, except this Christ the King anti-Semitic crowd.
Oh my God. Okay, cool. I've had no problems coming across to the Christian side of the equation, but let me tell you how your entire religion has been created by the Jews. Okay, cool. So you're already trying to set some stuff up here. Fantastic.
Christ is the King, and one day every knee will bow and recognize it, because he's not just my King, he's King of the universe. But when you use that phrase to mean that God has abandoned his chosen people, the Jews.
Oh, okay, cool. I see what you're doing here. So you're just trying to double dip. You're trying to say everything is all cool and kosher when it comes to Christianity and Christians that are out there. Then at the same time, you also want to take credit for being God's chosen people. Oh, okay, cool. And you think by simply saying that Christ is King, you're alluding and extrapolating that idea out to be Christ not recognizing any other religion. You understand that he is one of the most quoted and referenced prophets across all religions, right? No. Oh, no, right. That would bust some narratives, right? It's not like, Muslims in the Quran specifically cite Jesus Christ, okay? Refer to him as one of the most, if not the most prolific outside of Muhammad, obviously, as the most, prominent prophets, messiahs, obviously. There's one holy book that, doesn't hold him in high regards, but which one's that? Yeah, I can't quite remember. Something will eventually jog my memory.
Through whom he came into this world incarnate, and that he's broken his promises, his covenant with the Jews. You are quoting scripture like Satan does in the Bible. You are quoting scripture to your purposes, and that to me is specifically wicked. You know, when you spit that...
Listen, man. Okay, cool. It's not a specific moniker, or rather a specific phrase quoted by the Daily Wire, but simply by its most prolific face. Facts don't care about your feelings. That's why I always find it very interesting whenever like Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, and Andrew Klavan, Ben Shapiro pops up in this certain context. Whenever they start to put all of these feelings and emotion-based descriptors over the front of it, the specifically evil, hateful, bigoted phrasing, you know that their arguments, which whenever they can dig in on a topic that they actually know about, they can go in on the facts, but they just want to poison the well this time around, sensing a certain pattern, obviously.
Phrase at Ben Shapiro, my friend Ben Shapiro.
Oh, yes.
And you know, I understand this. All of you who love Ben, and I love Ben, and Jordan Peterson, you all want to see them find Jesus because you know what joy and freedom that gives you, and you certainly feel that it alters your relationship.
Does that not sound dismissive as dismissive as it gets? I mean, holy, I'm not somebody who's overtly religious, okay? I think that there's a lot that you can glean from a bunch of different religions out there. Basically where I'm sitting, I don't adhere to one specific ideology, nor would I deride anybody for following any specific ideology in a religious sense. Somebody better call Sir Mix-a-Lot in this given context, because I sense a big old butt coming along.
With God. But when I think about this, to be honest with you, you know, and I know some people will disagree with this, but life is not a game show where you guess the name of God and you get to go to heaven. Honk, you know, yes, the name is Jesus. I look at Ben's life and I think if Ben were to embrace Jesus Christ, it would cause devastation to his family, to the people who love him, to the people who listen to him, to his position in the world. I just have this feeling that God has put this guy where he wants him to do what he wants him to do. And as you know, I feel that, you know, the Jews were not abandoned by God. I've grown.
That's very interesting. Okay, so that's the clip that's been making the rounds. Christ is King is anti-Semitic because Ben Shapiro wouldn't get into heaven. Very weird way to just run that back. I've heard that said, okay? I've heard that this clip perfectly illustrates why, you know, Christ is King is an anti-Semitic dog whistle. I am forced to just simply go back on my assessment. The right uses the exact same cancel culture tactics as the left does, except instead of trying to put you in a silo of either being racist or transphobic, they will do it under the guise of misogyny or anti-Semitism. That was especially bad. Trying to proclaim your love for your religion. Even though heathens pray in public, but simply saying Christ is King doesn't infer that God has given up on Jews. It doesn't infer that there is no salvation, no eternal salvation for any other type people. It just simply means that you are faithful to your God. Your chosen prophet is your chosen prophet, and you are happy to proclaim as much. What's wrong with that? Nothing's wrong with that. Everything is wrong with the Daily Wire. And shout out to Elijah Schaffer and somebody who has been in the belly of Big Con, Big Conservative Inc. He has first-hand accounts of this. I like Elijah Schaffer. I think what he does, the stuff that I've seen him do independently, and hell of good work. So to hear him break down this stuff in the aftermath of weird Candace Owens stuff, which nobody can specifically point to anything that she said. Oh, he said the Rabbi Shmuley, or she liked to tweet that Rabbi Shmuley gets drunk on Christian blood. It also looks like he took such great offense to that stuff, where he decided to do an overt character of a Jew and lampoon that. But I guess he got what he wanted at the end of the day, so yeah, no, I guess he can just go ahead and meme over the top of it. Interesting stuff. But yes, I worked on Big Con for 4 years. Here's the reality. So he has 5 different instances of him working specifically with the Daily Wire and former Daily Wire personalities. He was on Timcast with Matt Walsh. Interesting. Dinner fundraiser with Ben Shapiro. Was it kosher? I'd imagine so. Brett Cooper was on his show. Ugh. Haven't heard from her in a long time. Holy. Was a guest on Candace's show. And then, yes, Andrew Klavan, who we just heard from, was a guest on his show. So the company ultimately exists to advance Israel's interest, not America's. Oh, come on, why be so on the nose about it? They silence their hosts. Topics are definitely off the table. Yep, couldn't tell from that at all whatsoever, because, okay, just take your mind back to this time last year when we were talking about the Steven Crowder Daily Wire debacle, and Steven was pointing out, it's like, okay, cool, you can't get demonetized. There are certain provisions in this contract that disincentivize you from talking about specifically spicy issues. Your channel gets demonetized, that's a lashing. If you get a strike, that's another lashing. You end up causing us a sponsor with some of your guest bookings or controversial topics. Oh boy, that's a lashing. So yeah, of course, he's right on that. Some of their hosts and staff are quite based, Catholic, and know what's up. Would imagine so, yeah. But the bag is worth it to them, and they have families, so no judgment. I would consider them cowards, especially in today's day and age. Speak up. Speak up, otherwise it will continue to get worse. Ultimately, they need to provide for those they love and don't see truth about Israel as a reason to jeopardize their livelihoods. Money is really good, and they can't talk about 99% of issues freely. Well, yeah, exactly. Before we get any further in this, see what Elijah's pointing out, okay? The Daily Wire has a specific interest in Israel, not about any type of people, not about any race, not about any ethnicity, not about any culture or creed. We're talking about a country and their interests. That's important to suss out, because as ham-handed, purposefully so, as the people who are saying Christ is King is an anti-Semitic dog whistle. This is not an attack on Jews. Absolutely not. I'm telling you, this is why the culture war is a distraction to the class war perpetuated by... Oh, yeah, I know what that is. Destroying our nation and the entire West. Okay, you can talk about trans stuff, etc. Yeah, but who came up with the concept of gender? Oh, yeah, interesting. Who brought all of that stuff? Oh, okay, interesting. Cause ultimately it's not a threat to their regime. Yeah, they can just continue to bark up that tree, knowing that, it's never really going to change at the end of the day, but they can continue their grift. So glad more people are starting to get hip to the tactics of Daily Wire, something I've talked about for a long time, but all right. Remember Ben Shapiro's Shapiro personally chastised me on Twitter and told everybody to get vaccinated dopes. Yep, I remember. And ignore my warning. This entire company is sick and misguided at its core of its leadership. However, some of their hosts are still really cool, and I like them a lot for almost every other issue. That's what makes them still popular with the vast majorities of people. Whenever it comes to the high-level issues, I'm generally going to agree with them. Maybe some of their tactics I will disagree with, but the overall conclusion... yeah, it's probably the right thing at the end of the day. Defeating the overall collectivist narrative, putting leftists in their place. We're on side when it comes to this. I might meme a little bit more when it comes to Matt Walsh's never-ending desire to grift off of the whole trans women issue. When it's all said and done, yeah, addressing mental health and, getting them out of, women's sports is probably the best thing for everybody involved. But it's when we get into specifics is when a bunch of the prickles start to pop up. Daily Wire will be happy to take your money as they fight the culture war and do nothing to help you pay your mortgage or feed your kids, because trans issues are important. Exactly. Anyway, yeah, leaving out 99% of what the other hosts have to say about this. But yeah, Elijah Schaffer, somebody who has dined with these people, who has worked with these people, will just simply go ahead and tell you that they're just there to push a narrative. And that's really what was coming across strong with the Andrew Klavan clip. It's like, yes, we get it. Your entire company right now is trying to get on this whole anti-Semitism clip right now. And far too many in the big conservatives, too many of the trad cucks, the grab your ankles for Israel types. They are more than willing to be complicit in this because a couple of bad faith actors want to just say Christ is King and they want to slander people. It's crazy, man, but I can only anticipate this snowball getting bigger as it continues to roll down the hill through the rest of this year. I think the Daily Wire, I'm going to stick true to this one. They're going to be wholly irrelevant. They're just going to be the Lincoln Project with a bigger budget and Fox News with better internet at the end of the year when Trump wins in November, and they just simply become, instead of the fastest growing conservative network online, into the fastest growing anti-Trump neocon outlet online. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.